You've been told you gotta bulk up and then cut down, but that's not true at all, because all bulking is gonna do is make you fat, and all cutting down is gonna have you lose all your muscle. If you're in a phase right now where you have some muscle, but you have some fat, you don't need another bulk cycle. You need the metabolic recomp method. If you're tired of being in that skinny fat phase, this is what you need to break out of it, because you don't have to track macros. You're not going to burn out with a bunch of cardio. You're only training 4 days a week, and it's going to actually get you the results that you're looking for, where you lose fat and build muscle simultaneously. So let's jump into the video. I'll show you exactly how to do it. In the beginning of my training career, I did a bunch of dirty bulks, a bunch of crazy cuts, but every time I bulked, I ended up too fat. And every time I cut, I was either starving myself or just dieting like crazy. I was miserable, and then I'd end up too skinny. So I've created something called the Metabolic Recomp method, and I'm going to give you a step-by-step process for you to lose fat and build muscle at the same time by simply optimizing your metabolism, your food quality, and progressive overload. No dirty bulks and no cuts. This is designed to actually get you results like this. If you're in a phase like I was, where you've clearly got some muscle, but you've got a lot of body fat, and you're saying to yourself, man, I don't know if I should cut or I should bulk, the answer is going to be neither. It's going to be exactly what I'm about to break down and show you, so that you can go from this to looking like this, having a lean physique, 10% body fat, bulging muscles, right? So if you follow this process I'm going to break down step by step, you're going to go from this to this. So take notes. Pay attention. Taking notes is going to be the main thing, because you need to lock this process in. So let's start with step number 1. You're going to diagnose yourself and get a baseline of where you're at. So you're going to take progress photos of your front, of your side, and of your back. You want to do this in a mirror that you can replicate. So do it in your bathroom mirror, or wherever is a place that you can do it on a week-to-week basis. Then you want to take your weight. So weigh in the morning in your boxers, take a shit, take a piss, no water. You want your actual real weight, and figure out how much you weigh, and then get your strength baseline. So figure out what your max is at a 6 to 8 rep range. So if you're doing bench press, you're doing everything from here on out for 6 to 8 reps. You want to figure out what is the maximum amount of weight you can do at 6 to 8 reps. That's called your top set. So you want to get that number for every single workout and document that in the notes app in your phone. All right, so once you got your baselines, we're going to move on to step 2. Step 2 is going to be just locking in your protein. We're going to keep it simple. 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So you weigh 170 pounds. You want to make sure you're eating at least 170 grams of protein. This is to ensure that you have enough to build muscle and maintain where you're at. And then when you're eating meals, just think 40 to 50 grams of protein a meal, which we'll go deeper into in a moment. But all you need to know is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So whatever you weigh, that's how much protein you need to be eating every single day. Now, step 3 is going to be eat for metabolism, all right? You're not eating for a certain macro number or a calorie number. You want to eat for increasing your metabolic rate and having good quality foods that are good for your gut health, because your metabolism and your gut health are going to be the main drivers for you getting the results like I highlighted earlier. So you need to have some non-negotiables in your diet. For me, pasture-raised eggs and grass-fed beef have always been a staple for me, but here's some examples. Pasture-raised eggs, grass-fed beef or steak, raw cheese, any raw dairy works. And you want to have some fermented foods as well, because they're amazing for gut health and metabolism, like kimchi, sauerkraut. And then for your fiber source, you want to get all your fiber from fruit, no vegetables, because vegetables have insoluble fiber, phthalates, oxates. Vegetables are really not good for your gut, so let's just completely cut them out for this process. And then for carbs, raw honey, white rice, sourdough, those can be great carb sources throughout this process. But you want to have non-negotiables that you're going to lock in, things that you genuinely enjoy, and that's the most important thing. Make sure the non-negotiables are food that not just align with your goals and are good for your gut, but make sure you enjoy them so you can sustain them and eat them consistently over a long period of time. And you're going to ditch seed oils or any ultra-processed junk, so you're not doing any dirty bulks, you're not ripping Chipotle, you're not ripping Big Macs at McDonald's. You're keeping it clean throughout this process, and that's the most important part. That's why you don't have to track. If you want to track calories, be my guest. But, if you don't want to track, you can't be eating bullshit foods. And if you're running this playbook that I'm going to give you, make sure it's no vegetables, only get your fiber from fruit, and keep everything that you eat gut friendly. You want to think before you eat anything. Is this going to improve or harm my gut health? All right, so it's pretty simple. Eat for metabolism. And I'm going to drop in the description a link to my last video where I break down how you can make yourself a meal plan without tracking macros, because I think that's really going to be helpful for you. So 4 is going to be plug and play meal structure. Like I said, I'm going to put in the description a video that I put out where you can build yourself a meal plan, which is amazing, that you don't need to track. But if you don't want to do that, I'm going to give you another option. Each meal needs to have 40 to 60 grams of protein, plus a fruit and a carb as needed, right? Make sure you have quality fats as well. So, like we established earlier, you're going to pick 1 to 2 non-negotiable foods like ground beef and eggs, just to keep the adherence super simple. So for me, every morning I'm having 6 pasture-raised eggs, and for dinner I'm having, a pound of ground beef every single time. So a sample day would be like, hey, if you weigh 170 pounds, you need to get 170 grams of protein. You could do that by adhering to this right here: 4 whole eggs plus raw cheese and fruit. This was one of my staple breakfasts for a long time. For lunch, you could do 8 to 10 ounces of grass-fed beef plus rice or sourdough if it's a training day, and then kimchi. Obviously, you want to think of carbs as like, a fuel source for your workouts more than anything else. But these are good examples. For a snack, you could do a scoop of grass-fed whey, like a Quip Prime Protein, or a whole food protein bar like Prima. And then for dinner, you could do 8 to 10 ounces of steak or pasture-raised chicken plus some fruit or some sourdough if it's training day, again, like carbs. You want to think of carbs as a fuel source for your workouts. But this is a really good example of ways you can do it, because if eggs and beef is your non-negotiables, you know that either for lunch or for dinner, you're going to have beef. And then for breakfast, you're going to have eggs. And it makes it really easy and simple to follow. But, this only works, obviously, if you enjoy eggs and you enjoy meat. Let's go to step 5. So for training, you are going to train to recomp your body. You want to focus on heavy weight with lower volume and high intensity when you're in the gym. So you're going to train only 4 days per week. You're going to do 2 hard sets per lift of 6 to 8 reps, progressively overloading. So I'm going to explain a little more in depth what this looks like and what this means. So I've given you, actually, this you really need to write down. I'm literally giving you a workout program here that you can follow. And this is a really good workout program. So, for example, let's say chest and tris is day 1. You're going to do flat dumbbell press. Now, when you do dumbbell press, you are doing only 2 sets of dumbbell press for 6 to 8 reps. And basically until failure. You are going as intense and as heavy as you can for each of these workouts. But that's the reason why you're only doing 2 sets. So you need to understand, because the volume's less, you have a lot more energy to apply into the intensity of the lift. And that's exactly what's going to be effective for you down the road. So here's an example of a workout plan. Write this in your notes. This is a banger workout plan. 2 sets, 6 to 8 reps of each of these. Every single week, progressively overloading, meaning that each week you are increasing the weight or increasing the volume. So let's say, you went in there, you did flat dumbbell press, 100 pounds for 6 reps. The next time you go to the gym, you're either going for 7 reps of 100 pounds or you're trying to get 105 pounds of 6 reps. You need to continue to get stronger, and that's what's going to allow your body to truly build that muscle that you're looking for. So you're going to track these in your notes, right? So write this down. Here's your chest day. Flat dumbbell press, incline press, barbell or dumbbell. Then you're going to do some weighted dips or a machine press. Then cable fly or a pec deck machine. Then for triceps, you're going to bang some skull crushers or some overhead extensions and some rope push downs. So that is day 1. Day 2 for back and biceps, you're going to do pull-ups to warm up or a lat pull down. You can rotate if you want. Then you're going to do a barbell or chest supported row, like a bent over row. Then you're going to bang out a single arm dumbbell row. Then you're going to do face pulls or rear delt machine. Then for biceps, you're going to do barbell curls and incline dumbbell curls. Day 3 is going to be legs and abs. So you're going to start with either a hack squat or a regular squat. Then for your hamstrings, you're going to hit an RDL or a hip hinge variation. Then you're going to bang out some Bulgarian split squats or walking lunges. Then some hamstring curls. Then for abs, all you really need to do is hanging leg raises or an ab wheel workout. Then for day 4, shoulders, arms, and calves, you're going to do an overhead press, either dumbbell or barbell. Then you're going to bang out some lateral raises. Then either upright rows or an Arnold press. Then you do close grip bench, emphasis on your triceps throughout this process. Then you could do either a barbell or easy bar curls, and then bang out some seated calf raises. So this is your 4-day workout split. Everything 6 to 8 reps, progressively overloading 2 hard sets of each workout. Okay, so now you have your diagnosis, your protein goals are locked in, you know how you're supposed to be eating, and now you have a workout program. Okay, let's go to step 6. You need to keep your movement active without destroying your appetite. And you're going to do this by walking 8 to 12,000 steps a day. Do not do any cardio. Cardio is bullshit. I think it's not sustainable. I think it's unnecessary if you could just walk. And a lot of forms of cardio, if you're above zone 1, aren't really helping you burn fat. They're just going to eat away at your muscle a little too much for my liking. So stay away from cardio. Just walk 8 to 12K steps per day and let the steps manage an energy balance without blunting lifting performance. Because sometimes when you're doing a lot of intense cardio, it can fuck up your strength in your lifts and your intensity in your lifts. So all you need to do is walk 8 to 12K steps per day. You could track this in the health app in your phone. Your phone will tell you how many steps you walked for the day. So 8 to 12K steps per day. Step 7 is going to be recovery. Recovery is just as important as your nutrition. It's just as important as your training, if not more. You need to be sleeping 7 to 9 hours per night. So you can have a routine like this. Get some morning sunlight so it regulates your circadian rhythm. Your circadian rhythm is basically when your body knows to be awake, when it knows to produce melatonin to get deep sleep. And the more dialed in your circadian rhythm is, the better and deeper you're going to sleep, the better you're going to recover, and that's where all the muscle growth happens. So sleep 7 to 9 hours, wake up, get some morning sunlight, 10 to 15 minutes, try and get it on your chest, try and get it on your back. Then you want to hydrate 32 ounces of water with mineral sea salt. I like Baja Gold mineral sea salt because it's electrolytes. It's got all 91 trace minerals. And then you want to make sure you're keeping your stress management on point so your cortisol levels stay low. Because if your cortisol levels are high, it's way harder for you to build muscle, and nobody wants to walk through their day stressed and anxious all the time anyways. And if you want to make better business decisions and just be better in relationships, more present in your day-to-day, you can't be stressed all the time. So manage your stress through breath work. You get worked up through 3 rounds of 10 deep breaths. Make sure you're praying 1 to 2 times a day. Keep a strong relationship with God, and then journal. Journal out your thoughts. It helps a lot for you organizing your thoughts and keeping yourself focused. And then for this process, just don't drink alcohol, okay? Because it's just going to slow things down, and it's not optimal. It's fucking up your muscle gain. It's going to fuck up your recovery. It's just, don't do it, okay? Training quality is going to be the biggest thing, okay? Next. Step 8, here's what you're going to track. Here's your KPIs to track weekly, because like any good business, you need KPIs to track. So you want to track your strength on your key lifts, right? Your reps or your load, weekly or bi-weekly. So every time you go to the gym, you want to write down how much you hit on your top set, like we established earlier. If 100 pounds was your top set last week for 6 reps, and you get 105 for 6 reps this week, you track it. And the reason you need to track is because, bro, you don't even remember what you ate for dinner yesterday. You're not going to remember how many reps you got at a specific weight last week for that muscle group. But if you're not progressively overloading the right way, you're not going to build muscle and you're not going to see progress. You have to track your workouts. So do it in your notes app. Write out the workout programs I got you, and underneath each workout, just write whatever how many sets and how many reps you got for last week. And then photos. Every single week, pick a day of the week. I like Saturdays. Every Saturday, go in front of that same mirror that you took your baseline photos in and take pictures of yourself. This is so important because you're not going to be able to see the change unless you have weekly photos to actually refer back to. Because you're in your body every day. You're looking at yourself every day. You're not going to notice the change unless you have actual photos to go back to. This is so, so, so important. And then the scale, weigh in once a week, not day to day, because your weight fluctuates based off your water intake, your carb intake, only one time a week. So you need to track your strength, your weekly photos, and your weekly weight once a week. That's the KPIs you need to track throughout this process. Step 9, we're almost done. So I hope you've been taking notes to this point, by the way. And if you like the video so far, drop me a like on this video. But let's keep going. Make micro adjustments every 10 to 14 days. So this is like where I always talk about how almost any diet plan will work. Almost any training plan will work, but nobody stays long enough and consistent enough to make the micro adjustments needed. So here are the micro tweaks and adjustments you need to make every 2 weeks. If your waist is not dropping, like if you don't notice your waist is slimming a little bit and your strength is flat, you're not getting stronger, you can remove 100 to 150 calories on your rest day or add 2,000 steps. So let's say you've been having avocado in your ground beef bowls. You're going to take the avocado out. There you go. There's your 150 calories. Or just walk 2 to 3K more steps. Very simple. And then if strength is stalling and you're flat with your strength, you can add 150 to 150 calories on training days. So for example, you could do this with fats or carbs. I don't really care. Let's say you've been having half an avocado in your ground beef bowls. Put a full avocado. There's your 150 calories. Or for carbs, you can have another half cup of rice. That's another 150 calories. So basically, if you're not slimming out, you either eat a little bit less or walk a little bit more. But if your strength is stalling, you want to add just a little bit more food, particularly carbs is probably better for strength. And then if hunger and your energy levels are completely wrecked, you need to keep the calories, but you need to improve your stress and food quality and sleep, right? If your energy's shot and you're always hungry, the main problem isn't that you're eating too little. The main problem is going to be that you're not recovering well. So you need to sleep better. Actually take the time to develop a bedtime routine so you can get good sleep. Actually take the time to do breath work, to journal, and to manage your stress, to meditate if you need be. And then actually take the time to analyze, am I eating good quality food or am I eating bullshit? Those are the things you need to focus on. And then your energy will go up. So that's how you do that. Then number 10 is going to be guardrails. You need to have guardrails so that you never need to do a cut. Basically, you want to stay within the bounds of this process. You don't want to have to cut. That's the whole point of this. So here's your guardrails. If your weight is flat, either, not going up a pound, not going down a pound for 2 to 3 weeks, you want to slightly increase your portions. So add half a fist of carbs, right? Basically, that could be rice, that could be bread, that could be fruit. You want to just basically, so here's your fist. You want to add half a fist. So that's like 3-4 strawberries, if you think of it that way. That's like a quarter cup of rice. Add half a fist of carbs or an extra slice of sourdough or an extra piece of fruit only on training days. This is only if your weight is completely flat. And I know this is a lot of information, so I'm telling you, take notes and go back. Now, if your weight is dropping faster than 1 pound per week, you need to slightly increase protein or carb portions. So add another egg, add another 2 to 3 ounces of beef or a piece of fruit, right? You don't want your weight dropping faster than 1 pound a week. That's too fast. If your weight is climbing faster than 0.5 pound per week, you're putting on weight way too fast. And if you don't get control of this, you're going to get fat. So if you're not visibly leaner and stronger and your weight's going up, you need to slightly reduce your portions. You got to pull back on a fist of carbs on rest day, okay? Rest day, you don't need carbs. No reason to have carbs on rest day. They're literally just energy for your workouts. So if you're climbing more than 0.5 pound a week and you're not visibly getting leaner and stronger, and you'll know this because you're taking pictures of yourself and you have your weight, your workouts tracked in your notes app, then you need to reduce your carbs. So the simple rule is adjust your food volume, not the whole system. Keep the foods the same, just scale them up or scale them down, right? So you have your meal plan built out, foods that you love, and basically depending on what the scale tells you, depending on what your workouts tell you, whether or not you're getting stronger, and the pictures that you're taking weekly, you're either going to increase the food or decrease the food. Not change the diet, not do a crash diet, just change the volume of food. And last but not least, after 8 to 12 weeks, you are going to transition, okay? So once your abs are finally visible, your strength is climbing, and you could shift to a slight surplus now, okay? Because you've got lean, you've dropped the body fat, you can add 1 extra carb portion to your lunch or dinner daily, right? Because now we're looking to put some size on now that you've dropped the body fat. Keep your protein and your fats steady, because this builds muscle without fat. Skipping the bulk then cut trap bullshit crap. We don't want to be doing any of that, right? So again, after 8 to 12 weeks of steps 1 through 10, all the things that we just went over, once your abs are finally visible and strength is going up, then you shift to a slight surplus. If your abs are still not visible, what do we need to do? Lower the volume of the food, increase the quality of our sleep, little things like this, micromanagement, right? And then again, for the surplus, you want to add 1 extra carb portion to your lunch or dinner so you can get stronger in the gym and add a little bit of size. But if you follow this process to a T, so go back and take notes where need be, build out your little program. I've given you your workout routine. You know how many sets, reps you need to do. I'm going to put the link in the description so you could build yourself a meal plan without tracking. You know exactly what you need to do. You have all the steps in front of you. All you need to do now is take this shit serious, do it consecutively for 8 to 12 weeks, make the micro adjustments where need be, and you're going to make this transformation. So if this video was helpful for you, drop a like on the video, subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. And if you have questions about any of this, you could shoot me a DM on Instagram. My Instagram's in the description of the video. But it's very important that you follow each step to a T, okay? Obviously if you mess up, come back to this video and, get back on track. But stay consistent. You got this. Peace.